All right, everyone, it is Friday, and you know what that means. It is time for Manufacturing E-Commerce Success, and I am one of your co-hosts, Damon Postolka, and that pretty gentleman right over there is Kurt Anderson, co-host. Today, we're going to be talking about manufacturing e-commerce mastery with BigCommerce once again, coming to you with great information. Kurt, take it away. I'm so excited today.
Oh my God, dude. I didn't sleep a wink last night, man. I'm just so fired up and just so juiced up for this. And I'm not, we need to question the folks at BigCommerce because they keep coming back on the show, which we are super honored, but they need to be a better judge of character, Damon, hanging out with two old dudes like us. So, hey, I'm just thrilled and honored. I'm going to introduce my dear friend, Kevin Buechler. So Kevin, Vice President of Education at BigCommerce. Happy Friday. How are you, my friend?
I'm thrilled, y'all. Thanks so much for having me. So it's a great Friday, and what a better way to start an early happy hour than learning with the three of us.
Well, hey, man. And Damon, I can't, the mustache envy that I have right this now. I can't even, I'm not even gonna pretend that I don't have
respect here for the mustache.
You know what? Now can you break that out like in the next few weeks? Can we see one of those on you?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's not gonna happen. No, not so much. Okay. All right.
Let's really hard. Focus on it really hard, man.
Focus on it. Focus on it.
Damon, be in the zone. Be in the zone. Be in the mustache. All right.
That could do it. That could do it.
Let's go here. So Kevin, first off, thank you. Appreciate you. I know you're super busy. We just can't express our gratitude for you. Join us here, our friends at BigCommerce. You are doing amazing and wonderful things, helping folks. And just, for our tagline here, manufacturing e-commerce success, BigCommerce truly defines our little tagline show here. So, Kevin, my first question for you, I'm taking a step back. We're going to get away from e-commerce for 1 second, if you don't mind.
Nope, not at all.
As a little guy growing up, Kevin, who was your hero? Who did you look up to? Who was your hero as a little guy growing up?
It's a great question. So I'm going to split it into two. Number one is I was a single parent family. My mom was a nurse that became a nursing instructor, got her master's, and led a nursing program for the state of Connecticut. So mom's always the biggest hero, with my grandma with it. But if I go outside of that and look at 1970s Kevin, who he loved, I grew up as a New York fan of every team that lost, right? Every bad New York team. And there was a player by the name of Mookie Wilson when I was young, who I wanted to play center field on that. And he was my hero because on the worst teams, the guy came to work with the biggest smile, busted his tail. So it's funny that, 40 some odd years later, I wanted to name my son Mookie Buechler because of what happened in the 80s. My wife wouldn't let me because her family are Red Sox fans. But I just, the way the guy went to work every day, I've tried to embody of even the worst of times, man. We are blessed to do what we do. And if you can do it with a smile and energy, you can get through just about anything. So, Mom and Mookie, those two.
That is
Mom
awesome.
And Mookie. Damon, drop the mic on Mom. All right. So first off, let's scratch the surface on Mom here. What's Mom's name, please?
Maureen.
Well, hey, big shout out to Maureen. What an inspiration. What a hero. Damon and I, we worship our moms. They're our heroes. And so, Kevin, that's one of our favorite answers. And so, God bless her for all the work that she did to instill in you. And Mookie Wilson. So I have 1986. Mookie Wilson did win that World Series. So, for us older guys that grew up on, I knew Mookie Wilson very well for all my Mets fans. So.
And it's the last one I've gotten. It's still
last. Well, hey, one of these years, they just retired Darryl Strawberry's number. So how's that?
Yep.
So big shout out to our Mets fans out there. Great answer, Mom Maureen and Mookie Wilson. Dude, you warmed my heart with that one, man. And we might have a baseball question for you later. So keep that in the back of your mind, Kevin, just to warn you. So all right. Let's dive in. So you're a Connecticut guy. Now, what's fascinating is, Mom became, nurse educator. You started off your career in education, I believe, high school teacher at one point, very active. I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you did at Davidson. So it's fascinating how an educator finds himself into e-commerce, but walk us through the early stages, post-college. What was your early career?
Sure. So, first, before I actually found out what I wanted to do in college, I kind of bounced around after high school, did restaurant work until I met my now wife, and I got serious. And I look at that job, when you talk about service and you talk about the ability of doing business, I think everybody should work retail, manufacturing, and then service at some point in their lives. So I was lucky to do that before I went back to college. And then my first career was, I was a history and English teacher. I was a basketball and soccer coach. And then I ran a community service program. So did that up at an all boys school for a long time in Connecticut, and then got the opportunity. When I was looking at my next challenge, there was an opportunity to run a service learning program in Davidson. So for us, taking the jump from Connecticut to Davidson was big, but very different culturally, very different vibes from being in a conservative all boys school in Connecticut for mostly New England guys to then Davidson, which is an amazing, progressive, it's an astounding place to be involved in learning. Right. And I think I told you, Kurt, was also the best part-time job anyone's ever had, because I got lucky enough to be the PA announcer for every one of Steph Curry's games.
Wow, man, how about that?
Far away, where it was just a bit of magic, and Davidson is. And then went into education leadership there, became a dean of students, became a athletic director. But then right around, that typical 38, 39, when wife, kids, everything's set, I started feeling a little itch of, do I want to be attached to a campus for the rest of my life? And the answer was no. I had friends, and my brother was in tech in Austin. And I got the opportunity where someone needed a global sales trainer. And I'm like, I've never done, formal sales training before, but I can teach and I know how to do with different audiences. So went into the video conferencing industry when it was very network based. Company that competed when it was, it was, none of it was cloud. Yeah. It was still hardware and networking. Yeah. It caught the bug. And then I've been at BigCommerce for 10 years, started running sales enablement and with 120 some odd people. And now I've been lucky enough 10 years later to be able to run all the education function here. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of pixie dust and magic, and just being lucky enough to run into the right people at the right time.
Well, all right, lots to uncover right there. So, all right, we're going to do a super deep dive. We're here with Kevin Buechler from BigCommerce. Man, drop us a note. Let us know you're out there. Happy Friday to you. We're going to do a super deep dive. If you have a hunger, a passion, a thirst for e-commerce, especially B2B e-commerce, you are in the right place. We have an expert on hand here. Kevin, favorite Steph Curry memory? Do you have one? Yeah. Or maybe are there too many?
There's too many of them, but I'll give you the most amazing one was those guys went back during the tournament and they were in the middle of finals. So they had to come back to campus to do their testing and stuff and then fly out. But when they lost the Elite Eight in Detroit and came back, I think it was 4 a.m. the next morning because they had to be to school. It was misty. It was all this. And then all of the guys came off the bus, and this little town and campus were all there to greet them. And Steph was walking by, gave me a hug, gave my 4-year-old son a hug at that point. They were just all those kids were such good kids to work with. But to be able to see a young man like Steph get better and better professionally, but also just continue to be the human being he was, that the way he was raised by his parents, was just, my kids thought that was normal, that you just ran in and that people were that nice and that. So
nice.
A lot of great moments on the court, but that's the one that resonates with me, of just being able to share that with a community, with that type of person, and with my family. You can't ask for anything else.
Wow. What a gift. That is awesome. And just what a pure class act, especially at that young age where, you struggle maybe maturity or ego or that type of thing. Yeah, and just, Steph, regardless of, whatever team you root for, whether it's a bad New York team or whoever your favorite team is, Steph Curry has consistently been just a class act through and through from early college, put Davidson on the map, with hoops, and just, what he's done with his professional career. So what a great insight. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
And if you track the guys he played with, it's amazing that each one of them have that same type of setup, but they're all now heading PE firms and running their own companies. One of them runs a complete business on sending nets to Africa. for malaria. Like it's astounding. You see smart, dedicated young folks who now 15 years from now, you've seen those career grown. I mean, that's why we do what we do.
Man, you talk about iron sharpens iron, and just a true testament of the program that Davidson had there at that time and still does. And just thank you for sharing that. That was unexpected, and that was a great. And I did want to see if you had any Steph Curry stories, and I did not expect that one whatsoever. So all right, let's dive in. So now you go from academic at boys school, you go to at Davidson, your academic career, take a little pivot at 38, 39. Mm-hmm. E-commerce, when you started at BigCommerce, 120 employees, what was the culture like? What was BigCommerce? What was hot and heavy in e-commerce? Take us back a little bit at that time.
So a half a step back to that first company I worked with.
Yeah.
It was fascinating to see an industry that was changing so dramatically and going to a SaaS model, right? So I was lucky enough to have 5 years to see a hardware networking thing try to go into the cloud. And in a lot of ways fail because they were going up against established companies or big companies that were trying to get in that space. The beauty of BigCommerce, when I started there, is the space was still pretty wide open, right? You had the monsters who either had the very closed ecosystems that were attached to either a larger deal, or if you weren't a 10, 20, $50 million revenue a year, they weren't going to look at you. Yeah. So you had this mixture of a tremendous opportunity of really smart businesses wanting to get online and sell for the first time and not knowing how. The aspect of the SaaS model just really starting to create 10, 15 years ago, where people were willing to pay a monthly annual fee, that type of setup. And then the vibe of the group, where it was an Australian-based company that had come to Austin and got a whole lot of Austin vibes. And when I got hired, we had just stretched into San Francisco. So all of these meshing philosophies and the way that people were approaching how we truly felt, and we still do, we're going to democratize business, right? We were going to make it that regardless of the size of the business, they were going to have the shopping environment and the ability to connect with their customers as possible. That stayed the same, but it was amazing. Just as someone who didn't grow up in the culture of that kind of problem solving and quick moving and different, I'd come home to my wife and say, I don't know what the heck just happened today, but I know I'm tired. I know I had a lot of fun, and I got to learn about 3 really cool companies. Right? The best part about it is just to see how they connected with their customers, and how, if we were a little smarter about how we set them up or let them grow or gave them material to be educated, we could help them. But it also really, more than anything, it infused such a listening and a learning mentality for me again. That was, you may know a bunch of stuff, but you don't know half of what these folks do, of what they're doing in their business, right? Both at BC and our clients at that point. So it was so much fun.
Yeah. It's in those kind of environments too. It's kind of like when you get used to that learning through a fire hose, that you really, you miss it when it's not there too.
Yeah. And luckily I still have, that's the thing I laugh about, is that it hasn't changed when it comes to the information part of it. We're talking about B2B. 5 years ago, this wasn't even a consideration.
Yeah.
And now it's the biggest growing part of the business. And the same thing, it's just really smart people who run their manufacturing who are now able to say, hey, by the way, I can help reach other areas and other, it's still the same. So a little more formal, not as many skateboards and happy hours every night that was back 10 years ago started be, but it's still the same energy and still a lot of fun, man.
That's great.
I tell you, I'm like, dude, I'm getting chills. It's like, and you have such a contagious enthusiasm, Kevin. And it's like, and you have and I hope this comes across as a compliment. It's like a childlike curiosity and just a thirst and a passion. And what's fascinating, you're the vice president of education. And I'd almost be like, you're starving for the information and educating yourself, right?
Yeah. So the luckiest thing I have in my job is that the folks on my team are smarter than me on so much stuff that happens in the business. I'm talented enough to know how I can help them get to the next level. And, I love talking to our customers. I love talking to our partners. So I do that well, but they're brilliant, man. when it comes from being able to connect with problem solving, with understanding business growth, with understanding the tech. And then, one of the things that I've loved watching your guys' podcasts, seeing other folks come on there, is understanding the other technologies, right? Understanding that the whole ecosystem is filled with really smart people solving specific problems. How do we put those all together to help the business? So, I mean, I know how lucky I am. Yeah. Like it's a great gig and it's a wonderful place to be, right? Like the e-commerce and SaaS right now is still as fun as it was, 20, 30 years ago. So, and it will be 15 years from now.
Well, and the just that it just keeps moving too. That you think about the customization per user, all the things that are driving down the way that AI can help us be more efficient in some of these things. And it's just incredible. You think back 15 years ago or something when you got on a site and you could, okay, if I knew the SKU, I could buy it, maybe. And then how do you do the transactions? And now everybody expects that I should be able to think what I think in my mind I want to buy. I should be able to put that in. And that's B2B, B2C. It should come up on that screen. I should be able to buy it. I should get it quick. And I should be able to return it if I don't want it the next day. And it's just the expectations have just gone sky high, but it's made these systems and the people and the companies so much better.
So, and if I've got 1,000 variants or different areas,
different color, size, all that kind of stuff.
From the person on the back side, it's so much easier to run your business now by building on that. But you got to be smart. You got to be organized to let the tech work for you. But it's been absolutely hyper speed over the last 2 years. Once you got AI even more set with not just content creation now, but being intelligent enough to learn how to run that business, like that's going to be 2-3 years from now. That's going to be the thing that we're going to be astounded how much work we used to have to do to learn things about our customers. AI is going to help so much, and then we can make good decisions on how to create our business to help them out.
So, all right, now, Damon, man, all right, Kevin,
I know.
Gosh, I am so fired up right now. So I'm like taking notes. I got like 8 questions that I have for you. But Damon, we have a bunch, before we pull up the comments, we have a bunch of comments here. So happy Friday, everybody. Keep the comments coming. Big hello. Kevin, I want to ask you this. So real quick, as you leave, so guys, we're here with Kevin Buechler from BigCommerce. What a thrill and honor for Damon and myself to have Kevin here today. We're just geeking out on B2B e-commerce. Connect with Kevin on LinkedIn. You'll thank us later. Check out BigCommerce for any manufacturers, any of our folks out there that are taking that leap. Kevin, when you took the transition from boys school, you go to Davidson, you uproot your family. I mean, like that's a big leap of faith. And was there any point in time, was there your wife, was this the right decision? You moved to Austin, you go into technology. Was there ever was this right? What was going through your mind with that big life change?
Yeah, well, the biggest one is that, like a lot of us, I was impacted before I went to BigCommerce. I was impacted by market shifts that my job, like I had built a successful, I was the global head of education services, and it was a company that was much more channel based. So it was, the business kept building and building because those certifications that we built, and I was impacted on a successful business model. We were making money, we were successful, but the company was going to go private. So I got impacted. That was so foreign to me as an educator. Like you don't leave your job unless you want to leave your job if you're doing it well. So we had a lot of conversations on whether it was the right move for us. Our kids were in school, they were in sports. So we didn't want to leave Austin, but it was, is this going to be a stable environment for us to be successful? And it was my master's degree on not only trusting that I liked what I'm doing here, but it was the other part of, you're pretty good at it. Right. And I always, it was always that thing of, am I successful? Can I build? And that first time of saying, hey, Ann, like talking to my wife, I think I'm really good at this. I think if I'm around people who are good at it, I can help build a career. And as I said, this last, 10 years or so, how can I do something where I can get the same feeling that I got when I used to teach kids, when I used to coach kids? You see successful businesses grow. In my world, 60% of the company has been promoted going through the last 10 years that I've gotten to see them, like that kind of thing. I'm really happy that I stayed with it. But yeah, man, 11 years ago, I was not psyched about looking at the tech area of Austin and where I fit in it.
Right.
After being successful and being let go, even though I was successful, that was so foreign to me. See, that's probably the biggest one, Kurt.
Damon, I just want to unpack that. I just had a call this morning with somebody I met in person this year at a conference, and they're looking to take a big life change. They have family obligations, kids, and they're looking to, take a big pivot. And as you're sharing that, I'm like, man, just for anybody out there that's thinking about, that big leap of faith, I tell you, you are so inspiring. Different part of the country, completely different, industry, leaving academia. And I just want to tell you, how admirable that is and how much I respect the life changes that you've made. Damon, let's dive in. We've got some friends here. Again, drop us a note. Let us know you're here. Give Kevin a hello. I think we've got a question at the top there.
Yeah, we're going to drop. We got a question from Yazin here. It said, could you share some of the most impactful technologies that manufacturing companies can leverage to enhance their e-commerce strategies and drive sales growth?
So a little one there, Yazin. Wow, that's a great question.
It's deep. That's a powerhouse. So you know what, Kevin, we're going to be pulling up. We've got a couple things that we're going to show. So maybe we can tack some of those. Let's grab some of those other comments.
Because Yazin, so there's 3 things I would say within there. Yeah. Not to spend too much time on it, but when you're talking about the most impactful technologies, right, it's really important to look at what's going to be your pre-sale generation. Like if you're thinking of the SEO, you're thinking of what you're investing in, to look at how the customers are going to come in, especially channels, right? For all of us now, there's so many different things. We hear about channels, we hear about Omni, right? Really important. We obviously have one at BigCommerce that's part of our ecosystem called Feednomics, which has been tremendous in growing it. But there are a lot of really good companies that start on that front end. I would highly suggest that's one of the first things you look at before investing in any formal or any paid search. Like, what's it going to be to get it in? If it's for your existing business and you're looking for efficiency and you're looking for the ability to maximize the technology to grow your current sales within the group, I would say, for us, the 2 biggest things that we always coach folks on, shipping is always going to be the most expensive, the most confusing way that you're going to have to deal with e-commerce. Right? Finding the right shipping option that works for your markets. You don't need a global one. You don't need to spend too much money if you're delivering 80% of your business in one area right now. So focus on shipping. And then the other one that we really, really drill with folks is if you can find some type of inventory management that works with your specific product when it comes to catalog. Because if you're a fast growing company, you're going to add new products or there's going to be variations, right? That takes up a lot of time. And if that's not done well, then you affect the front end that I told you at the beginning is it gets confusing. There becomes static for your consumers. Your SEO gets affected. So I would say those 3 areas are probably your biggest, Yazin.
Okay.
That's a great first question, man. You guys are asking me basketball questions. He's coming up with that's a PhD level to start. So
that's a PhD.
Like 5 years of work question right there.
Appreciate it. That was 10. Yeah, that was 10 years of BigCommerce right there that you just answered. And that was all right. That was just a mini masterclass. So you're just getting a taste of it. This is why you need to stick around. Damon, let's give some shout outs here.
Hey, Diane's here today. Thanks for being here.
Happy Friday, my friend.
Schulers around.
Skyler. He goes by Skyler. So Skyler, happy Friday,
right,
dude.
Thanks, Skyler. Thanks for that. And then we got Diane dropping another comment. If you're always doing the same thing you always done it that way, you're not embracing new technologies and ideas. And that is something that we all have to remember, because we have so many manufacturers that are out there yet that are fighting the e-commerce, and they see their competitors down the street. They wonder why they're successful when they're doing these things. And we just got to step out of this comfort zone and do it. And then she said again, Diane said again, problem solving and business growth, they go together, and that they do. We've got Harry stopping by today saying facilitating learning is in itself brilliance. This is one of the things that I think is really cool about your position, Kevin, at BigCommerce, is they have invested in education, something that Kurt and I talk about a lot. we like to say edutainment in what we do, but this education piece is huge for them to help their customers be successful so you can be more successful. So good there. We've got Whitney stopping by from Houston.
Hey, Whitney, Houston's in the house. Happy Friday, Whitney.
Yes, always great to have you here today and have you here with us, Whitney. Thanks for being here today. We got Alan stopping by from Indianapolis. Thanks so much, Alan. Great seeing you again today. Hope it's going well. And then Whitney also paying homage to Kevin's mom. Gotta love that there. And then we going down the state. We got, let's see. Well, I'm looking at
says thanks.
We got other stuff. We got Whitney's mom was a high school teacher in a former's life too. And wow, we got thanks. Happy Friday to all. Yaz has got another question, but we'll drop this in later. Thanks so much, everyone, for the comments. We got Willie's is here today. Thanks, Kevin. Great knowledge. And anyone that needs management systems, we can always build each other and grow together. That's awesome.
Man,
great comments. Let's comments are on fire. Keep them coming.
Keep the comments coming. Keep the questions coming. Again, we've got Kevin here from BigCommerce. So, Kevin, let's dive in. So, folks that if anybody out there is not familiar with BigCommerce, please share who is BigCommerce. How do you and your team make the world a better place?
Sure. So, BigCommerce is one of the unique companies in the e-commerce space that we've grown from initially very B2C small business, right? And then over the past 15 years have grown to embrace not just the shopping cart original e-commerce functionality, but have grown into a full business suite for anyone wanting to sell on and offline. And that's B2B, B2C. So we're still dedicated to our small businesses. We love them. We've seen those small businesses grow into mid-market, grow into enterprise. And now we've got the ability of supporting not just entrepreneurs, but also some of the biggest brands in the world. And the way we do that is something we call open SaaS, which is building a non-closed environment that we can partner with the best companies, the best tech companies, the best management companies in the world to be able to help build that business solution for our customers. And then, as we say, their customers' customers. And within that, we've got, you heard me say Feedonomics before. Our ecosystem is, just so when folks look at that, they're both BigCommerce Inc. But Feedonomics is a wonderful omni-channel opportunity that's industry-based. That was one of our biggest investments, knowing as the business is growing, we need experts and the top of the field in advancing that net for our customers. So that's where Feedo came in.
Awesome.
And you said making the world a better place. That's an easy one, Kurt. We want to make it that the folks who invest in BigCommerce can trust that they're building their careers while they build their company's businesses. Right. So we know that if we build, if we manage, if we teach the folks who have made the investment of saying BigCommerce is the platform that we want to build our business on, they're going to make sure that their boss never says you get fired for BigCommerce or it didn't work well. Like that passion and actual obsession of understanding that even though we're a technology company, it's all about the people choosing to partner with us.
Right.
And that's been from the start. Like that is who BigCommerce is. And that's why I've been here for 10 years.
Right. And we're going to jump in a bit, man, Kevin, like we're going to keep you here all day, dude. So this is a great conversation. Again, we're here with Coach Kevin, by the way. Kevin, what I want to dive into is, so, hey, enough about you, Kevin, let's talk about me, but I'm a longtime e-commerce guy, founded an e-commerce company in 1995. And so I've been a connoisseur of shopping cart. I've seen tons come and go. I'd go to the conferences back in the early 2000s and like, oh, this is the hot one. Nope. Well, here's a new one. Oh, this is going to take over the world. Yeah. So it's been fascinating. So I've been a fan watching BigCommerce grow for many, many years. As you mentioned, you've been there for 10. Why do you think BigCommerce has been able to sustain like so many, if we had this show 10, 20 years, not even 5 years ago, we would have had different platforms that we would have said were some of the top. What's been the success at BigCommerce from your perspective?
So from my little piece of the world on it, why we've survived some of the good times and the bad times in the industry is we truly have been customer obsessed on making it easy. Like I'm using easy air quotes because bigger business is, the more complex.
Yeah.
It's not plug and play, right? You're just like everyone out there who's successful in manufacturing. You could be doing t-shirts and doing 10,000 t-shirts in different sizes, variants, colors, but you're not just making t-shirts, right? So when I say easy, it's, but to make it as efficient, as focused on what you need to do to run the business. So everything we do and what we produce on the product is, how does it make it easier for someone to save time, to save money, and to get the best shopping experience for their customers? We've never wavered from that. We made mistakes, but that focus on what do we need to do in my little slice of the world, that means my team's knowledge base, documentation, the community, videos, all the stuff that isn't a paid service that's out there open for everybody has to be the same quality as if you've hired my team for a week long or an implementation, or as your business gets more complicated. Right? That idea of this is a relationship that's built on the business building. We don't think you're going to be the same way today that you were last week, that you're going to be 2 years from now. We better be building an ecosystem, not just a platform that supports that growth of our customers. And we've always done it. Like, as I said, we failed and we succeed in parts, but it's always been that customer first and that stakeholder first mentality.
I think one of my favorite words that you keep dropping today, Damon, is the word easy. And so, Kevin, I don't know if you knew this. So, what Damon and I love to say is, e-commerce 30 years ago stood for electronic commerce. And when at BigCommerce, you know what the E stands for? Easy commerce. And that's why 60,000 clients strong at BigCommerce, publicly traded company, just huge success. We've had the honor and privilege. We've had multiple of your teammates on our show. We have friends with, at BigCommerce. And the second thing is customer obsessed. I'm getting chills just even think about that. But I mean, anything that any of us do, everybody here that's in the program today, when we can just be dedicated to that customer obsession of winning the day, helping them succeed, helping them hit their sales goals. I want to dive into, you've created the company, in you leading the charge, you've created a culture of education. And we one of the taglines, and I guess we have a bunch of taglines, Damon, apparently, but we love using the line, out teach the competition. And that's where I feel like we've really resonated with the team at BigCommerce. You guys are dedicated to out teaching the competition. I'm going to pull up BigCommerce University. As I do that, could you just share a little bit about like your role, how you're dedicated, and like how has BigCommerce been so dedicated to educating your customers?
Sure. That's a great question. So at first, this is not, my role didn't exist 10 years ago. So I said, I started off as a sales enablement person. I had a couple of colleagues on it. We've been focused on doing the right thing, on having the correct material, right? Having the correct offerings when people needed it. Where we've emerged over the 10 years to become very, very good at this is we understand that people are going to need different levels of education at certain parts of their customer journey. And every learner is going to be slightly different on it, but they're all going to expect the same things. Everybody expects that the documentation is engaging, valuable, up to date. Right? Everyone expects that the way it's delivered is going to be in a way that's not going to be confusing, right? Not going to be conflicting. And then the third piece is, as folks grow, there is going to be some more complicated things that they'll need to invest in. We're fine with that. There should be a return on investment on it. So when I look at the folks that actually do our education services, and what you're pulling up right now is our is that view of how people grow within it. So BigCommerce University, open to everybody, right? The launch coaching, SEO are for folks as they're getting at the beginning of the process. And then as you grow or you're a bigger company, there are folks who want more formal. Hey, I need a week of you training all of my people. But the key to how we've grown that, though, Kurt, to get the tagline on it, is it doesn't stop at that engagement. So if I train you for a week, or you go on and click on the website because you've gotten help from one of our client success folks, and you've seen the KB article that's helped it, we got to track that. We've got to learn. We've got to make sure that all of that is processed. And that's what I really geek out on, is the CSAT. Like my peers are the folks in professional services, the folks in sales engineering, the folks in tech support. What we've gotten better at is ensuring that we can predictively put this in front of customers. So they feel that there isn't going to be this stress of I'm not going to be able to get the information real time. I'm not going to be able to plan for it. Or someone's going to come and say, hey, by the way, that's another X amount of dollars. Like, we don't do that. And we do the old drinking the champagne is all of what you see here is what I train the internal people on. So the salespeople, the professional services, all of those folks have this knowledge. So then that relationship is, hey, I took that class with Kurt and he told me this is the way to set up the B2B portal. Well, our customer service manager and our IPM and our SA are going to say, yeah, I remember that same course. That's great. What do we get? How can I get? So that's the piece that I have been incredibly blessed as a education leader, that our CEO has been committed to it for the entire time he's been here, which is 8+ years. And that all of our C-levels, we talk about this aspect of what's their bucket too. Like, what's this aspect that makes it not their CV, but makes it that they're going to be able to help people grow along with them. They all have learning mentalities. They all are really obsessed with that piece. So, you know, that's how we've been able to do this in a way that's holistic, goes across the business.
Yeah, this is just absolutely phenomenal. And just, you know, just the sheer dedication to customer success, because, you know, a lot of times, Kevin, on our end, we encounter this a lot over the years. You know, manufacturer puts out a brand new website and just, you know, unfortunately, you know, without lack of experience, you know, due to lack of experience, they're like, okay, turn on the spigot, man. Here comes the, you know, the orders are going to come rolling in. Where are they? Well, unfortunately, you know, you spend a lot of money, you put out a new website, and you're still the best kept secret. What I love what you're doing is, like, you're helping, you're dedicated to their success. Here's the program, here's a platform. And I just love some of these topics here, you know, expert, B2B, you know, enterprise B2B. This is just phenomenal of like how you're hand-holding and guiding them on their path to success.
And the folks who are teaching, a lot of them, so like the vast majority of the folks on my team have worked in the other parts of the industry. So they've been in tech support, or they've been developers, they've been partners. So that's the other piece. Like you said, Kurt, you know, 1995 doesn't seem that far back. That's 30 years of experience you have of dealing with an industry that has changed. It's like basically saying I was working on cars in 1910. It's your time period. It is amazing on that. So, you know, that's where the average tenure on my team alone of the folks we're going to be dealing with here is 6+ years just at BigCommerce.
Wow.
And most of them have experiences. And like, the funniest thing is that the talent level, which I've been able to build the most folks coming out of, is gaming. People coming from support or development in the gaming industry. If you can deal with somebody who's really angry because their magical sword disappeared when they were on and you're like, I can't give you the sword back. It's a bunch of points. But their ability to then program and problem solve, like, we're lucky to have those kind of creative folks working on the team. And when you talk about my energy and why I love doing it, right? Those folks bring experiences from other parts in tech to e-commerce.
Yeah.
And have the passion of teaching and prep. So, and again, it's been a 10-year journey for us. We didn't have professional services or education services 10 years ago. And it's grown with the company. And as I said, it's grown with our clients, and it definitely has grown with our partnerships. If we didn't have the partners that we're currently working with, and I think it was the Skylar or someone who put up the aspect of growing together. Like, I learned from what our partners do so well now on how to mesh those things and just make a better learner experience.
All right, Damon, this is awesome. Why don't we grab so first off, as business owners, entrepreneurs, manufacturers, whatever walk of your life, number one, are you making it as easy as humanly possible for your customer to buy from you? And if you're not, you know, unfortunately you've put yourself, and you're at a competitive disadvantage. In as much as your customer loves you, you're making it difficult to buy from you. And that's what we're talking about with that easy commerce. Number one. Number two, we're seeing how BigCommerce not only talks the talk, walks the walk on being those fierce educators. So number one, great company to align with, because they're building that trust with you as you're going into your B2B e-commerce journey. And secondly, man, are you educating? Are you coming with just a fierce passion, an unconditional, relentlessness of educating your customer on your product. So just, what a great role model. Damon, go ahead.
Yeah. And the other thing that you mentioned before, Kevin, that is so important, I think, for people that are considering e-commerce platforms and BigCommerce. And a side note, I just remember my first experience with a client that had BigCommerce is like 8 years ago now. And I'm like, wow, that's a long time ago now. But is the fact that you've seen companies go from, you and I decided to start an e-commerce company and we're selling stuff out of a storage unit, to now they've got 1,000 employees and all global operations. Because I've seen that firsthand when you go from that size to quadrupling and quintupling and continuing to do that over the years. The demand on your systems, the complexity, the amount of data that you have to move is so incredibly different. And there's those plateaus that you at BigCommerce have helped so many people through now. And your education, I'm sure, because I've not gone through it in detail, but helps people to really spot those points, and maybe you guys can help them through that faster. That's so cool, because that's the unknown in growth. And we talked about it a while ago here is, that growth is not easy, but when you're with a partner that's been through it like you guys have, it's easier.
Yeah, we've learned from,
cool.
Yeah, we've learned from thousands and thousands of folks who have grown. And yeah, I would say that's probably the hardest part of us supporting an education side is someone says, I wasn't expecting to be this successful.
Yeah.
So that 3 part we talk about of, I had 10 SKUs with 2 variants. Now I've got 50 and I'm selling to these different marketplaces. What do I do? Right. And that's the piece where we hope, or we hope that we help as kind of a Sherpa as folks are climbing the mountain and saying, hey, we're going to be able to help you. Right. There's 2 or 3 really important things to dig into. Right.
Yeah.
Really important before you change your design to do this. Really important when you're thinking about going outside of a traditional market that you're used to, or a traditional, like with B2B. One of the things I've loved working on it is people are so smart about who their traditional customers are. Like B2B is so much better than B2C of knowing what the businesses are who are working. When they come on e-commerce, they're not used to the fact of, how did these 30 people find me? How did these 50 people find me? And they're different. How do I set my experience up for that? Like that's the part that we try and help. And it's the most challenging, but it's also the most exciting. Success is tough to deal with, but we are happy with anyone out there to help you deal with that problem.
It's a great problem to have.
Hiring 5 more people to manage it is tough.
The thing that's cool, Kevin, is you're bringing up that fact. I mean, you just bringing that fact up shows the experience level.
We lived through it.
Because most people sitting here today that get into e-commerce don't realize that until they're in there and seen it and been through it. That's so cool.
Yeah. Hey, Damon, let's grab Yazin's question. He has another one here that I know he asked a few minutes ago. Let's go.
What strategies do you recommend for manufacturing companies to enhance customer experience on their e-commerce platform?
That is fantastic, Yazin. So the first, where we are very lucky now than we were a couple of years ago with this aspect of affordable AI and chat and outreach. Like, it's not like you need to have somebody working your client success, right? There are so many options, and we've been coaching folks on, look at how you're gaining customer feedback, the ones that you currently have, and try and do it in a way that isn't going to take all of your time. You still want to have that face-to-face and spend time with it, but this aspect of AI with chat, with entering, with predictive outreach, right, is so much more effective than having an email campaign.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say that's the first one to enhance the customer experience. The second, and this is, it's kind of, it's a little bit opposite of what you normally think, is ask your customers, or start looking at the folks who work for you, what part of the experience that they don't like. Right. So NPS is kind of out of date. People still kind of use it, but it was big but this CSAT thing of, if there's one thing about your buying experience that we could change, or if there's one step that made it harder for the people delivering your services to deliver them. That's where I'm saying it's the inside out part. Is so much of the customer experience that doesn't work well is our inefficiencies in how we set them up on our side, and how we make it harder for our employees to get the product to the customer who's already there. And for manufacturing companies, again, I grew up in East Hartford. It's where Pratt & Whitney engines were built. So everything when I was a kid, my uncle was an engineer there. Every junior achievement, we went in and saw Pratt & Whitney engines during the 80s. So there were tens and thousands of these massive things being built. And I remember my uncle telling me the most important thing to look at when you're doing this, Kevin, is who's the guy who doesn't look, who's working, but doesn't look like he's working efficiently. Does he look confused? Is he looking around or trying to find? He goes, we fix that problem. The engines are going to be better. People are going to be happier. I brought that into e-commerce because we don't think of our employees and we don't think of the setup. That's going to make a happier plane engine, man. So, hope that was helpful, Yazim.
That was,
my goodness.
That was brilliant. You know, what we used to do at our e-commerce business 100 years ago, like whoever, like a spouse or one of their, kid, one of the employees' kids would walk in the place. We would sit them down on our website and stand over their shoulder and be like, hey, try to buy this. Mm-hmm. And just like every time that they got stuck, we're like, okay, why did you have a question there? What did you understand? Why don't we have a picture or a video or an image or whatever, Damon, we got a couple. We've got questions in the chat. Let's grab Azam's question here.
Let's see where that Azam. Oh, here we go. What are the key factors you believe a Texas-based e-commerce logistics and warehousing company like Seller Logic could prioritize to improve sales and achieve significant company growth in today's competitive landscape?
Azam, that is a great question. So let me.
And we could take Kevin, if you're comfortable, you guys could even connect or
you connect offline.
Yeah. I'd want to understand what the logistics and warehousing, because when I went back earlier and talked about shipping, inventory, as awesome as we look at one of my favorite companies that we work with is I'm not going to throw their name out there, but you could definitely see it on the website. It's one of the top 10 soccer teams in the world. I'm using my British football, just massive.
Yeah.
Seeing and they do it out of one warehouse, but seeing the logistics they have to do to ship outside of that one group. When you said Texas-based, immediately my mind went to, all right, if the logistics is, we're looking at the difference between VAT and taxes and where you're shipping to and how much of that is outside of Texas. And so I'd love to connect with you there. But I think it's an offline because it's such a really good meaty question.
Yeah.
But logistics is one of those ones that I want to answer in 2 seconds.
Yeah. So again, guys, connect with Kevin on LinkedIn. Love to have you guys, join. As a matter of fact, Kevin, I'm keeping you over, but we got to grab Harry's question.
Yeah. I just wanted to hit Harry's question because this is it's outside of e-commerce, but I think it's really relevant today. Thanks for the question, Harry, today. Kevin, even though you've grown into a large company, you have won multiple best places to work awards. Mm-hmm. Can you share what contributes to make your internal culture so special?
Yep.
Awesome question, Kevin.
This one's easier, Harry, because I get to live it every day, but thanks for asking it. When people ask me why I'm at BigCommerce still, right, there are 3 reasons. Number 1 is it's really a focus on being your authentic self at work. And people think of that for younger generations. They don't think about it for us. So I came in at like 40 years old with a different background, and yes, I love learning things, but I also was, it was different than the 22-year-old who wanted to play ping pong all the time, right? The company it's allowed us to grow in that because we've gone in different marketplaces. We've had to deal with remote workers now. We've had to deal with so that's the first one. It definitely is that stress of bringing authenticity. The second one is everyone is expected to be an owner in the company, right? Ooh. There's that talk of true shareholding mentality even before we were public. So there's a sense of ownership and a sense of people being listened to. The most important people in our world are the tech support agents and the SDRs. We listen to them all the time because they speak to customers who are unhappy or who aren't going to choose us.
Yeah.
Those are the people who are promoted. Like but they've got the opportunity to be heard. And then I think the third part is we really allow people to connect with themselves and with who we serve. So we encourage engineers to talk to salespeople. We encourage marketers to talk to folks in services. Like the the expectation, that's the current thing. It's the expectation that there's a true sense of empathy, and that investment in it makes it that during your best and your worst days, you know that the person you're working with values and cares about what you're doing. So those have been the big three for me.
All right, Kevin, on our little show, we have things called drop the mic, when somebody just really, drops this wonderful piece of value. When it gets really high level, we call it a moment of silence. So we're just going to kind of take and just savor that, just how inspirational. I've got, be your true authentic self. How about a publicly traded company that allows you, a tech company allows you to be your authentic self? Number two, taking a sense of ownership. Entrepreneurship within a publicly traded company. Number three, communication is essential in allowing your team to interact and connect with each other, connect with your customers. That is so. All right, let's just savor that one, Damon. That was good. Hey, let's grab Willie's. Willie's has a nice comment here we want to pull up.
Yeah, it said ease of access. Thanks, Willie's. Ease of access, education, quality, connection, networking with clients. Grow the customer, and the customer grows with you. The business is a symbiotic relationship, and that is right, Willis. And it's just BigCommerce is such a great example of this.
And Willis, quality. Thank you so much for calling that out, because that's one of the things that when we talk about quality, we always talk about just the platform. Usually, you calling out quality and relationships and that continue building. That's a really good point, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? And that's what it is, right? It's almost like the product is secondary, because again, Kevin, if we went back in time, I remember this guy used to have a chart of like all the e-commerce companies or all the internet companies that came out in the 90s. And, there was like, dozens and dozens. Then all of a sudden they kept vanishing. Then there was like Google was left, and, everybody else kind of fell off the wayside. If we put up shopping cart companies from 20 years ago, there was a lot of them have fallen off the wayside. There were some that I thought would be, kind of like the Kleenex of, and now I don't even know where they are anymore. Right.
Yep.
So, all right, let's, I know we're keeping you way past time. Let's dive in here. So just share a little bit of what's going on. We're back on the BigCommerce website. Guys, connect with Kevin on LinkedIn, go to BigCommerce. Kevin, what are we looking at here?
So why I asked y'all to bring this up is, even though this is a paid service for everybody, I don't want you to look at it as Kevin's trying to sell you the service. I want you to walk through and look at the steps. Because when we talk about launch, we talk about architecting. As you're moving into e-commerce, especially B2B, if you're net new, or what we found more and more of, if you're switching platforms or growing, right? Look at the concept of looking on this will tell you there's that difference between launch and growth in the business. When you are launching, it's not just clicking go on the store. It's all these steps of, have I architected it right? Is design done correctly? Have I thought about my different marketplaces? Am I using payments that's going to be working by POS as well as my online? So what we have on here is just kind of the steps you should think about and take them. I'm happy if you just look at it as a cheat sheet of these are things I can be thinking about. But as when Kurt was asking me about building our business and our growth, this came directly out of seeing the need and seeing the questions from our customers of, Kevin, I love you're giving me all this free stuff. Thank you. By the way, I need the next step. Can you have somebody walk me through this? Can you have someone customize it for my business? And I'm like, yeah, we can. We don't have it yet, but I know we have the talent. So all of my business has grown out of the need from our changing market base and from learning of those basic problems of, do I need to launch the store correctly, or do I want to grow my business? So that's what these will give you, just some cheat sheets on what to think about. And then again, we're happy to talk more in depth if someone's really, really interested. But I always point people to this spot, because if you go to like my knowledge base or the BigCommerce University, it can become really overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking for. This gives a high level of, hey, what exactly might I be thinking about when I'm at that next stage of my business?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And a couple of things as we wind down, a couple of things I want to point out here. I love this here. Overcome complexity, design confidently, build completely. And I love the language you're using here. And I think what's critical that I want to give a shout out to some of your teammates. I'd be remiss if I didn't share, my dear buddy, Jessica Williamson. Jessica, if you're out there, sending you tons of positive vibes, my friend. We've got Lance Allwide, Paul, Alec, you mentioned your wonderful CEO, Brent, just up and down the chain. You guys have just such fierce advocates for entrepreneurs, for manufacturers. And and again, Damon, we have a lot of friends that are on the agency side. And so they're just as equally passionate about helping manufacturers, helping the entrepreneurs by bringing in a wonderful SaaS solution like the team at BigCommerce. So what's critical for your e-commerce success, man, find, you use the word easy. You've used the word Sherpa. Find that trusted advisor that can hold your hand. It's a big conversion for a manufacturer getting into e-commerce, but aligning with the right team, man, you can find that manufacturing e-commerce success. So I'm going to stop on that one, man. This was like, Damon, I think this was the fastest episode we've had.
Yeah. No doubt, Kevin.
I cannot believe. So I dropped the link in the chat. I know it didn't go on LinkedIn, but it went on Facebook. It looked like it went on YouTube. So we encourage you guys, connect with Kevin on LinkedIn. Go to BigCommerce, tons of information. And you know what, Kevin, I'm gonna end on this. I was in e-commerce 1995. It was like the whole, for those of us still around, the internet bubble, like B2C and like the whole retail thing. Like what was happening in 1999 with B2C e-commerce, I feel is exactly what's happening now, minus the bubble. If you're a manufacturer, if you're in B2B in industrial, and I don't have skin in the game. I am begging you, pleading with you, get into e-commerce in some capacity. I'm just concerned you're going to be left behind, but right now you're not too late. You are absolutely not too late. Kevin, parting thoughts, words of wisdom that you want to share as we start winding down here.
Yep. So I'm going to piggyback a bit on what you were saying, Kurt, is this is the right time for merch, like being in here the last 10 years. If we were having this conversation about merchandisers and B2B a couple of years ago, the answer probably was you might want to wait and think about it if you're not of a certain size. Now it really is like, it doesn't matter at what size your business is. E-commerce is not a startup option. It's an option for any part of someone's business. So for manufacturing now, especially for folks who have been really good at their understanding who their market is, but want to expand it, such an exciting time. Like it makes me feel like when I just started. And then just the last piece I want to leave with everyone is, as Kurt talked about, finding help to make your e-commerce decisions. I like that he said easy. The other part that I would tell everyone is responsive. This is someone who you're partnering with on the most important thing of your business, which is how you're connecting with your customers. You want to invest in folks who are going to take the time to understand what you need, but also move fast enough to make it that you're not waiting months and months and months to bring money into your pocket. Like, it's so much better to realize that your partner has to talk the way you do. They have to be as responsive as you want. They need to understand your business. And as I said, that's where I've been blessed to be able to talk with so many different types of companies that I just learn more and more and are able to understand how to communicate with those type of folks. And I know 15 years from now, it's not going to be different.
That's right.
So thank you so much for having me on.
Oh my goodness. Great. Hey, we've got two more quick questions for you. And again, if you guys have any questions, shoot Damon a note, shoot myself a note. We can get you lined up with the right person at BigCommerce. Huge fans, huge proponents of the team, of what you're doing. And again, I don't have skin in the game. E-commerce is not a nice to have. E-commerce is absolute mission critical. Hey, and for a shameless plug, Damon, if they want to learn about B2B e-commerce, grab my mom's favorite book. It's called Stop Being the Best Kept Secret, right? They can read all about it. I have BigCommerce. So Kevin, you'll love this. I wrote that book 4 years ago, and I put BigCommerce is in my mom's favorite book, Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. So
there you go.
Kevin, if quickly, can you share best business advice for our entrepreneurial friends out there? What's the best business advice that you've received or that you would love to share to a young entrepreneur?
Fear of being successful is your biggest blocker, right? That aspect of not getting out there, of being, and we all do it. Doesn't matter what stage of your career.
100%.
In the back of your head, if you're If it's holding you back, that's your biggest. It's not your marketplace. It's not your competition. It's that aspect of saying, I may not look great, or personally, I'm afraid of taking that jump. That's the one you ignore. You conquer that, or at least learn how to be friends with it and understand that's your motivation. That's going to be the one who's going to make you the most successful.
All right. Damon, that was the second moment of silence. We have tons of mic drops, 2 mic drop moments of silence. Kevin, last question for you, my friend. Damon, I know we could keep.
We gotta ask it.
Like, we're going way past.
Gotta ask it.
So if you guys, first off, if everybody is jumping off for calls, thank you for joining us. Real quick, Kevin, you mentioned Mookie Wilson was a hero of yours. Of course, Marine is a big hero. Mookie Wilson, hypothetical. I'm asking for a friend here. Let's just say it's 1986-ish, October, maybe the Mets are playing Boston. It's the bottom of the 9th. And let's just say hypothetically that the manager was looking for Kevin Buechler to come up to the plate to hit in a winning run. It wasn't Mookie Wilson. It was going to be Kevin Buechler. If that was a fact, they were calling up Kevin Buechler to hitting the winning run in 1986. As you grabbed your helmet and you grabbed your bat on the way to the plate, what would be your walk-up song?
This would have to be 86 though. You're saying that 86, not now?
Well, anytime. It could be anytime. It could be anytime.
86, I got to think back of whether Eye of the Tiger was out yet. Like, I'm trying to go through high school.
You know what? Eye of the Tiger was a response on Monday. How about that?
But that would have been 86. If it's now, it wildly, because of the connection of my son was coming up when it's what he was listening to sports. Lose Yourself is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, it is just wild of going there. So if I could time travel, I'd probably choose that. Because a lot of the stuff I listened to during the 80s, I wouldn't be able to, like, I don't think a lot of NWA would be getting on.
Yeah.
But I would say it would be Eye of the Tiger if it had to be age, like, within that. But if not, probably Lose Yourself.
2 awesome answers. So, Kevin, how about, man, if you've been hanging out with us for, I know, Kevin, we kept you way too long. So how about a big round of applause for our buddy Kevin and the entire team at BigCommerce. Man, we are rooting you on. We appreciate you taking time. I know how busy you are. This means the world to us that you shared what a masterclass on B2B e-commerce. Damon, I could go on and on. I better stop talking. So take it away, brother. Please close.
Oh, man. Thanks so much for being here, Kevin. I can't appreciate you stopping by and sharing what you guys are doing at BigCommerce there, and all the people there are doing, and your education, and just sharing your knowledge with us today. And I want to also thank the people that dropped the comments today. Had a lot of great comments with all the people that were doing it, and Yasmin and Willie and Skylar and Whitney and Alan, and I'm missing Harry, and I'm trying to get everyone, but Diane, thank you so much for coming in and listening to this week in and week out. If you got in on this late, Azam, thanks for being here. If you got in late, go back to the beginning, go back through this again. And if you don't get it to it this time, get it on the B2B tail, get it on my website. This is out all over after this. So listen to it and get out. But we are done for today. We'll be back again next week. Thanks, everyone.